Right, look, if you have made it this far, if you are seriously considering packing up your perfectly acceptable life and moving to France, bienvenue. However, let's be honest, you have heard the myths. The tedious, repetitive, cliché ones. Oh, the pastries. Oh, the strikes. Today, we dispense with the postcards. I'm Johnny, French by birth, professionally baffled by our own rules. And I am about to prove that France isn't a country so much as a beautifully run theatre production where the props are legal texts and the extras are very serious bakers. I have lived abroad, seen the world, and have returned only to find my home country is a magnificent and legally mandated fever dream. I'm here to open with you 13 files that sound like a conversation you've had with a drunk poet at 3 a.m., yet are catalogued and signed by a prefect somewhere. This is the stuff that will make you smarter than your new French neighbors who have been here for generations but still haven't appreciated the sheer theatrical logic of it all. By the end of this little voyage, you will know how to achieve eternal bureaucratic love beyond the grave, why we hold a world record in jet lag, and crucially how we have managed to ban death and UFOs with equal solemn commitment. Your move, Netflix. But honestly, this isn't even an audition, darling. This is just Thursday. Let's start with the exquisite romanticism of our civil code, the mariage posthume. Yes, legally you can marry your beloved even after they have, stepped out permanently. But this is France. It is not a quick dash to the registry office in a nice hat. It is a bureaucratic ballet of grief and protocol. The procedure: prior clear intent. The deceased must have shown clear intention to marry before death. Not a vague, wine-fueled, maybe someday. We are talking engagement rings, catering deposits, signed invitations. Also, you need presidential approval. The file ascends to the highest office. The President of the Republic must personally sign off on the request. When granted, the marriage is backdated to the day before death. It is a gesture of profound mercy, but written in the elegant, slightly bossy cursive of our civil code. Aha! The origin story, I see you ask in the comments? Well, this glorious absurdity was born from genuine tragedy. In 1959, the Malpassé Dam near the town of Fréjus collapsed, killing 423 people. A grieving fiancé petitioned the state, and thus Article 171 of the Civil Code was amended. It is administration with a profound, aching heart. You think of France as what? Paris, one time zone, simple, clean? No. Factor in overseas France, the Caribbean, South America, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, plus the utterly delightful Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon off the Canadian coast, and suddenly we become the custodians of the world's time. We hold the world record with 12 standard time zones, 13 if we insist on including our magnificently dramatic Antarctic claim. My personal favorite is the Marquises Islands, who keep a perfectly dignified UTC minus 930, because round numbers, those are for people without Polynesian archipelagos. Thank you very much. Try inviting the whole family to a Zoom call, and watch your calendar weep existential tears. And this, my friends, is jet lag as a national asset. The wine-scented sky ban. In 1954, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, yes, the village of the beautiful, powerful wine, was having a flying saucer problem, or at least a flying saucer craze. The mayor, bless his sensible socks and civic duty, issued a formal municipal decree. What did it say? It politely banned soucoupe volante, flying saucers, from landing, taking off, or just cruising above the vineyards. It was intended as a delicious little piece of French farce, right? The punchline? It remains a valid ordinance, because in Provence, even a hypothetical visitor from Zeta Reticuli must respect the vintage. We welcome everyone to France, bien sûr, but landing permits are strictly required. The baguette is not merely bread, it is a foundational document of civilization. Since 1993, we have had the décret pain, the bread decree. It is a protection order for a slice of genius like the Magna Carta, but with a crispy crust. To be called pain de tradition française, it must contain only flour, water, salt, and yeast. No funny business, no hidden additives, no sneaky powders. When you stride into the boulangerie and ask for une tradition, s'il vous plaît, you are delightfully citing a decree with your mouth. In 2022, UNESCO inscribed the artisanal know-how and culture of baguette bread on the intangible heritage list. And they didn't just recognize the loaf, they recognized the ritual, the kneading, the ferments, the shaping, the scoring, which is the baker's signature, the baking, and that daily queue. For you see, that queue, my friends, is where all the neighborhood diplomacy happens, with crumbs, naturally. Since the 1990s, French radio stations have had to perform a little cultural tick box exercise. They must broadcast a generous quota of French language songs during peak hours. There are sub-quotas for new francophone output, and strict anti-repeat rules. Arcom, the regulator, checks compliance. Imagine a very stern DJ, glasses perched low, with a spreadsheet and a finely tuned ear for the national interest. The result? Drive Time becomes a little cultural garden where new artists actually get a chance to make it to air. It is socialism, but for your eardrums. It ensures the vitality of the French language, and it actually works. Around Verdun, 6 communes were absolutely obliterated during the 1916 battle. They were never rebuilt. No houses, no shops, nothing but shell craters and forest. And yet, legally, they persist as communes designated mortes pour la France, who died for France. Councils are appointed by the prefect. The tiny budgets maintain the memorials, chapels, and paths. Their names just glow on the map like vigil candles. Beaumont en Verdunois, Besanvaux, Cumières le mort-homme, Fleury devant Douaumont, Aumont près Samonieux, and Louvemont Côte du Poivre. You can walk Fleury's ghosted street plan. The house markers, they are still there. This is administration with a palpable, deep heartbeat. A French town is not merely a collection of buildings, it is an idea that is legally binding. And now let's talk about the ketchup protocol, the infamous ketchup ban. Well, it is not a ban, you understand. We are not anti-ketchup, perish the thought. We are pro-taste buds. The 2011 decree set national nutrition standards for school meals. The key takeaway: salt and sauces, and that means ketchup, are not left in self-service. They must be portioned according to the dish, and fried items, the traditional ketchup delivery mechanism, are capped by frequency tables over rolling sets of meals. So, in practice, the ketchup appears when the fries appear, roughly once a week. it waits its turn. It sits politely like a tiny tomato condiment that has just been told to wait for its cue. Municipal immortality. The cemeteries filled up. Expansion was blocked. What's a French mayor to do? Fire off a satirical decree forbidding death within town limits. In the early 2000s, towns like Le Lavandou, Cugnaux and Sarpouran made international headlines. In 2008, Sarpouran even threatened severe sanctions for offenders. However, the point was not hubris, you see, it was a pressure tactic. Give us land for a new cemetery, or immortality is now municipal policy. Take that, Grim Reaper. He will need an authorized dérogation, a waiver, before he can collect anyone in Sarpouran. In France, you cannot simply disinherit your children. Welcome to forced heirship, a legal concept that is both deeply protective and profoundly irritating for the rogue parent. The réserve héréditaire guarantees a minimum slice of your estate for your reserved heirs, your children. You only have control over the quotité disponible, the free disposal portion that you can actually give away to whomever you like. If you leave one child, they are reserved half your estate. If you leave two, they are reserved 2/3, so 1/3 each. If you leave 3 or more, they are reserved 3/4. Europe's friendliest little calculator sits right there in the civil code, and the notary will bring it to the will, reading like a very serious ruler. You see, even the dead must remain fair and equitable. You can't just cut out little Timmy because he took up the drums. Order must be preserved. Now, let us discuss the profound existential crisis faced by every poorly coded online form in Europe. In the Somme département, we have a commune named E. That's it. One single, solitary vowel. The sheer, magnificent efficiency. The locals, they are the Issois or Ypsiloniens. Their municipal signage is, undoubtedly, the most photographed vowel in all of geographical trivia. A perfect little monument to the idea that sometimes less is more, unless you are discussing regulations, in which case more is always more.
We'll return after these messages.
If you are enjoying this video, you can adopt this channel like a well-behaved goat. Patreon is the monthly hey, steady, sensible. Buy me a coffee is the one-shot carrot. Boop, done, delightful. No secret handshake, no hidden layer. Just a simple, yes, continue this nonsense, but accurately. You can point your camera at the QR codes on screen or use the links in the description and the pinned comment. If you can't or don't fancy it, watching and sharing is already brilliant. Merci, merci.
We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress.
French copyright law is normally quite standard. Life plus 70 years. Clean, simple. But this is where it gets very French very quickly. For authors officially designated mort pour la France, who died for France, protection is extended by an additional 30 years. This clause, sitting plainly within the Intellectual Property Code, is purely an act of national respect and recognition. That is why Le Petit Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's beautiful little chap, only enters the public domain in France in 2033. We extend the author's right to be remembered and monetarily supported as a formal thank you. It is the perfect blend of patriotism and contractual law. And did you know that France has an official UFO office? Yes, we truly do. It's the GEIPAN, Groupe d'études et d'informations sur les phénomènes aérospatiaux non identifiés. It is tucked quite delightfully inside the CNES, our National Space Agency. They receive civilian reports of unidentified aerospace phenomena. And they do not laugh. They classify them using a truly delightful sounding grid of weirdness versus consistency, sorting them into A, B, C, and D categories. and then they publish the case files online. Only a sliver remains in the inexplicable D zone, admittedly, but they exist. And the paperwork, the official state-sanctioned documents on flying saucers, it is absolutely out of this world. It shows you that in France we will tackle even the most bizarre extraterrestrial mystery with unshakable precision. And last but not least, Paris once scheduled your croissant. For decades, Parisians lived under, or enjoyed, a rather particular series of prefectural orders that strictly staggered the summer holidays for bakeries. Why? Well, so that no arrondissement would suffer the terrifying, unthinkable calamity of an August bread famine. Imagine the public safety risk, a whole Parisian street deprived of its daily good crust. C'est la guerre! In 2015, that power was officially taken away in a wider push for administrative simplification. Zut alors, la liberté! And yet, many bakers still coordinate their holidays, because civilization, as any true Parisian will explain, is fundamentally having a fresh, high-quality baguette within 300 meters of your front door. It is not a preference, it is a matter of public safety and moral hygiene. The order is gone, but the spirit of the quota remains. So, there you have it. France is a country where love can be notarized after the final curtain. We hold a world record in time zones. Ketchup waits its turn like a polite little tomato in a tie. And even our villages cling to their legal existence long after their houses have entirely disappeared. If that whole glorious ramble felt both utterly absurd and yet strangely sensible at the same time, félicitations, you are going to fit right in. Now you are armed with the truly essential knowledge. You can talk about the décret pain with the baker and the réserve héréditaire with your grumpy brother-in-law. You are not just moving here, you are accessing the source code. Magnifique! Thank you for watching. I love you all.
Et ici. Et ici. Tu dors? Aïe aïe aïe. Aïe aïe aïe. Et j'éteins. Tu dors aussi? Ok. Bonne nuit. Bonne nuit les chats.